Most people think spiritual breakthroughs look dramatic visions, revelations, cosmic fireworks. They imagine awakening as a cinematic moment that flips their entire life in a single instant. But the truth is far less glamorous and far more powerful. Real spiritual evolution doesn't shout. It whispers. It moves through your life like a quiet shift in gravity, changing how you see, feel, and respond long before you consciously realize anything has changed. You're not here because something big happened. You're here because something subtle happened. Internal reorganization that most people ignore, deny, or drown in distraction. You're here because you've crossed thresholds without realizing it. You've passed soul-level tests without a ceremony or applause. The ground beneath your life has already moved. This video isn't about awakening as a mystical ideal. It's about the practical, measurable signs that you're no longer the version of yourself you once were. It's about the shifts that happen when resistance collapses, when pain becomes guidance, when validation loses its grip on your identity, and when your energy stops leaking into people who thrive on chaos. If you're listening, you're probably at a stage of development most people never reach, not because you're special, but because you finally stopped running from yourself. What comes next is clarity. And clarity is the real beginning of mastery. Across ancient traditions, Greek, Vedic, Hermetic, the deepest teachings about spiritual evolution were never presented as moments of glory. They were presented as stages of inner maturity. In Egypt, the wisdom attributed to Thoth was not about magic tricks, supernatural visions, or divine favoritism. It was about psychological discipline, energetic sovereignty, and the slow refinement of consciousness. Initiates in ancient temples didn't chase ecstasy. They were trained to face themselves without distortion. They learned to accept reality as it was, not as their wounds preferred it to be. They learned that resistance was the first enemy of truth, and they learned that the heaviest suffering came not from events themselves, but from the mind's refusal to accept them. These ancient systems describe transformation as a progression, learning from pain instead of repeating it, finding self-worth without external approval, and protecting one's life force from emotional parasitism. They understood the difference between empathy and enmeshment long before psychology existed. They knew that without emotional boundaries, compassion collapses into self-destruction. One of the most closely guarded teachings was the distinction between personality and essence. Personality was the mask built for survival, approval-seeking, image-controlled, fragile. Essence was the deeper identity that didn't need to perform. The goal of spiritual work was to shift from personality-driven living to essence-driven existence. These traditions also taught a difficult truth. True transformation is subtle and often invisible. It happens quietly, internally, and only becomes obvious looking backward. No ancient master ever described awakening as a dramatic event. They described it as a sequence of internal permissions, honesty, boundary, humility, integration. You are walking the same path they taught, not upward toward perfection, but inward toward depth and wholeness. Spiritual evolution begins quietly. You experience a softening inside yourself, reduction in panic, less emotional reactivity, an ability to stay present even when life is chaotic. You stop interpreting life as an opponent and start meeting it as information. This shift is the first threshold, the collapse of resistance. When resistance dies, victimhood dies with it. Acceptance becomes a form of inner strength, not passive surrender. From here, your relationship with pain changes. Instead of running from discomfort or numbing it with distraction, you begin to study it. Pain becomes literacy. You learn to read your reactions, your triggers, your avoidance patterns. You start to understand that pain is not punishment, it is navigation. It shows you where you are misaligned, unhealed, or refusing the truth. Conscious suffering becomes a skill, being with discomfort without drowning in it. Next comes a shift in identity. The personality, the version of you built for approval, starts losing power. You notice how often decisions were based on fear of rejection. You notice how much of your confidence depended on external validation. And then, quietly, the dependency snaps. You stop performing. You stop explaining yourself. You stop checking for feedback. This is not ego. This is essence emerging. With essence comes energetic sovereignty. You stop absorbing other people's chaos. You stop confusing empathy with emotional fusion. You recognize manipulation instantly, not because you are cynical, but because your nervous system no longer tolerates emotional extraction. Your boundaries sharpen. Your presence becomes steadier. Energy vampires lose access to you. This leads to a new crisis. Success stops satisfying you. After building your life around achievement, you realize achievement without meaning is empty. This is when the soul redirects your trajectory from self-gain to service. Service doesn't mean sacrifice. It means alignment. It means contribution. It means doing work that reflects your essence, not your ego. Then comes one of the highest stages, the capacity to hold paradox. You can love someone deeply and still enforce boundaries. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can grieve and still experience joy. You can hold anger and compassion in the same breath. This is emotional adulthood. This is the mind maturing into multidimensional thinking. Finally, you reach shadow integration, the stage most people never touch. You stop denying your darker traits. You stop projecting them onto others. You accept the parts of yourself that scared you. Power, desire, aggression, vulnerability. Integration is not about indulging these parts. It's about owning them so they stop controlling you from the shadows. This is the stage where true freedom and authenticity emerge. This entire process is not dramatic. It is slow, subtle, internal, and completely transformative. If you recognized yourself anywhere in this journey, not in theory, but in lived experience, it means you've crossed thresholds most people never reach. And the reason it feels quiet, invisible, and anticlimactic is because real evolution isn't theatrical. It is internal restructuring. You're not becoming perfect. You're becoming whole. You're not escaping pain. You're learning its language. You're not losing people. You're losing dependency. You're not becoming detached. You're becoming sovereign. Everything you've been experiencing, inner calm, emotional neutrality, stronger boundaries, loss of validation, addiction, deeper compassion without enmeshment. These are not personality changes. They are milestones of spiritual maturity. The final truth is simple. The world does not change when you awaken. You change, and that changes how you move through the world. If this script resonated with where you are on your path, if it clarified your experience, or confirmed what you've been sensing, write in the comments. I understood it, and if you want the next stage of this explained, how to stabilize these transformations and build a life aligned with essence, sovereignty, and wholeness, make sure you subscribe. Your evolution has already begun. Now it's time to live it consciously.